What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. And this time we're taking a look at The Black Phone, based off the short story by Joe Hill. The film is directed by Scott Derrickson, co-written by Derrickson and C. Robert Cargill. The film stars Ethan Hawke. The story of The Black Phone is as follows. This child kidnapping serial killer known as the Grabber kidnaps this kid named Finney and is holding him captive. While Finney is being held captive in the basement of the Grabber's house, he starts to receive these mysterious phone calls from a black phone that has no power source to it. And he gets these phone calls from kids who were previously kidnapped and murdered by the Grabber, and these kids try to help Finney escape his predicament. So yeah, that is the overall premise of The Black Phone. Let's briefly try and go over this movie as fast as we can. So my overall thoughts on Black Phone are as follows. I thought this was a damn good movie. Scott Derrickson is clearly becoming one of my favorite directors to look out for. The man understands horror. The man knows how to direct horror. I liked his work on Doctor Strange. I thought that's one of my favorite MCU movies of Phase 3. I want to see Sinister. I haven't gone around to it yet. I'm going to. I heard a lot of good things about it. But just going based off Black Phone, you can clearly tell Scott Derrickson has a love for the horror genre. The man just peppered this movie with just a lot of Easter eggs, a lot of nods and references to previous lore. But more importantly, the man knows how to direct. He knows how to create atmosphere. He knows how to create tension. He knows how to make, scenes come across as unsettling and skin crawling. Scott Derrickson, in terms of his direction in this movie, I have zero complaints. The man did a fantastic job. He used a slow burn build-up to his advantage. Most directors just use the slow burn excuse just to pad out the running time and just to stretch out the running time. Derrickson used it to his advantage because he used the slow burn to establish the characters. He made us understand who these characters are. He made us overall, more importantly, like these characters. Now, I think this movie is 15 minutes too short, and there are certain things that I would have liked to see expanded upon. I'll get to those momentarily, but let me just get my positives out of the way first. So in terms of the overall direction, when it comes to Scott Derrickson, no complaints. In terms of the writing, I think this movie is actually really, really solidly written. Derrickson and his writing partner, C. Robert Cargill, did a really good job at adapting Joe Hill's short story. I did not read the short story of Black Phone. I want to. From what I gathered, it does make some changes. But it overall keeps the same spirit and tone of what Joe Hill was going for. And if Joe Hill approves of the screenplay that was written, then yeah, I think we're in good hands here. So in terms of the overall adaptation, I think it's fine. So let's get to the cast, because the cast is what really holds this movie together. This movie is primarily held up by kids, specifically the brother and sister team of Finney and Gwen, played by Mason Thames and Madeline McGraw. These kids, they did a really good job in this movie. Thames, I have not seen him before. He did a really good job at anchoring this movie as the character of Finney. When we first see Finney, he's your typical kid who gets abused at home by an alcoholic father, and he gets bullied at school. And when he gets kidnapped by the Grabber, he slowly starts to gain confidence. I mean, it happens gradual. At first, of course, he's scared. But once he starts talking to previous dead kids on the Black Phone, they start to give him, pointers, some tidbits to how to deal with the Grabber. And he uses all of this to eventually take on and beat the Grabber when you get to the film's climax. So I like the evolution of Finney's character. I like the development of Finney's character. It works really, really well. And the actor who played him was really, really good. I mean, yeah, they could be annoying. There can be some areas where it can get kind of annoying when he's constantly screaming for help. But those are that's just a minor nitpick here and there. The overall performance is not affected by all, especially when he's sharing screen time with Ethan Hawke. These two just have so much creepy. These two have the most unsettling and creepy scenes all throughout this movie, and Ethan Hawke in general. You know what? Let me just talk about Ethan Hawke before I get to the rest of the cast. Ethan Hawke in this movie is fantastic. Ethan Hawke is great. as the Grabber. He is that right amount of creepy, that right amount of unsettling. He just kills this role. I like the fact that we don't get too much history about the Grabber, but if you pay attention to certain dialogue bits, we get enough history to know that the Grabber, he has his own history of abuse. He has a history of maybe in his life being locked in a basement, being held captive. Like, if you pay attention to the dialogue, you get little tidbits of what could possibly be a backstory to the Grabber. But his backstory is mostly kept hidden, and I'm okay with that. We don't need to know where he comes from, at least not right now. But Ethan Hawke's overall performance was fantastic. He was great. And also James Ransom, who plays Max, the Grabber's brother. I thought James Ransom was actually quite funny in this movie. The movie also has his own little subplot where he's trying to track down the Grabber and trying to pinpoint where he could possibly be operating from. And when the movie actually makes the reveal that about Max and the Grabber and their connection, it brought up an interesting plot point, but it just didn't handle it well, and I will get to that again momentarily when I get to my negatives. The little girl who played Finney's sister, Melinda Madeline McGraw, I thought she was fine in the role as well. She basically plays a clairvoyant who has these dreams where she can basically see what could happen to people. I like the little girl's performance. You can actually see like the dread that she has with these dreams that she doesn't understand. She has it, Finney and his sister, they have an alcoholic father who is trying to drown out his pain because his wife suffered from the exact same thing his daughter's suffering from, and it drove her insane, and she died because of it. I actually liked the father character, believe it or not, because you can clearly tell the man loves his children, but he's so just too far gone with grief, and he's just completely consumed by using alcohol as a way to hide his pain, as a way to drown out his pain. He just abuses his children. There's this unsettling scene where he's whipping Gwen with a belt, and it's just really just nerve-wracking. Like, really, really nerve-wracking. It's really hard to watch. It's a very cringy scene. I mean, it works to the movie's advantage, of course. But we do get some of those other tender scenes when he's talking to his daughter Gwen about when Gwen, pretty much begs him to, not, get angry, and he does not get angry. And she pretty much, tries to talk to him about his dreams. And this is where we get some backstory about the mom and what she experienced, and how they're very similar, and how Gwen and her mother are very, very similar. And this starts the road of redemption to the father character, which he does get at the end when he pretty much begs his kids for forgiveness, and he's pretty much weeping to them. Now, I didn't find this. Now, to me, I read the scene of him. He's not weeping in sadness. I think he's weeping with regret at the fact that he let himself go so far gone, and that he failed to protect his children, and now he wants to have that second chance to be the father he should be. I like that. It's very subtle, but you can read it by just how his reactions are and the way it's acted out. I thought it was actually really good. I got to give Jeremy Davis a lot of credit for a minor character and a minor role. He made it work to his advantage. And yeah, Joe Hill is the son of Stephen King, so the alcoholic, drunken adult having some form of redemption is a trope, but when done right, it can work really, really well. And to me, it worked well in this. And you also have a slew of supporting cast, which is also really well done. Especially the character of Robin, who's basically Finney's best friend. Robin, who's pretty much like the badass, and he's like helps Finney take down bullies early on in the film. So yeah, the supporting cast and the main cast all work really, really well. As I said, the production values of this movie is fantastic. It's beautiful. The writing is fantastic. The writing is great, spot on. I like the atmosphere. I like what Scott Derrickson's going for. It all works to its advantage perfectly. Now, as it comes to my criticisms, I have a couple of them. They're not criticisms as in, oh my God, I can't believe you didn't do this. It's criticisms in the fact of if you would have just given certain things to stretch out and breathe more, it could have added so much more value to the movie itself. So, for example, the character of Max is revealed to be the brother of the grabber. And there's this whole subplot where he's, like I said, he's pinpointing where the grabber is. And when he actually cracks that code and location and realizes that the grabber's base of operations is actually in the basement of his own house, or it's revealed that it's the basement of his own house, and he unknowingly knew this, he instantly gets killed by his brother. Now, I don't mind the grabber killing his brother for discovering his secret, but I would have liked to have seen a scene where Max confronts his brother about this and it just tries to get some answers out of it. And, give me something, or at least have Max try to help Finney, and then the grabber confronts Max, and Max tries to talk his brother out of it, and that causes the grabber to kill his brother. Give me something satisfying instead of just killing the brother off with no really satisfying payoff. That's just me. I would have liked to have seen something happen. Finney has a best friend named Robin. They share maybe one scene together, and I'm supposed to buy them as friends. And then the next time they interact is when Robin's already been dead, communicating to the black phone. I would have liked to have seen one more extra scene of just these two just acting like friends, and not Robin acting like a protector. No, one scene is not enough. An extra scene of because they made an allusion to Finney basically being a tutor for Robin. We could have gotten a scene like that of Finney going to Robin's house and teaching him, and then the two of them bonding over like movies like the Enter the Dragon and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is what the movie references. I would have liked to have seen stuff like that. I thought that would have been cool. And my third complaint is that there's this running thing of Finney having a crush on a girl. I would have liked to have seen some scenes of Finney having those confidence issues, trying to talk to his crush, but overall failing to do so. So that way, when we get to the movie and she actually talks to him and he responds back, it would have had more build-up. It would have had much more meaning to it if we would have seen scenes earlier on of Finney having a hard time talking to the girl crush, especially when Finney gets his confidence when he escapes and kills the grabber by breaking his neck, which is actually a pretty well done third act. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, aside from those three complaints, I overall think that Black Phone is a very good and solid horror movie. I liked it a lot. If a sequel does come out, I am more than willing to give it a shot to see where the story goes next. But in terms of a standalone, I'm giving Black Phone a solid 8 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and I definitely recommend it. So yeah, those are my thoughts on The Black Phone. Let me know your thoughts in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.